Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Northwest Newsweek. The writs are issued and candidates vying for office across the province have started their campaigns. It marks the start of a very busy month, especially for candidates here in the Northwest, as there are 4 very vast ridings in our region. And as Vasilius Bellows reports, each party and candidate is hoping to prove their case to voters in the run-up to Election Day on June 2nd.
Many candidates from the region wasted no time hitting the campaign trail, all hoping for a spot at Queen's Park come June. In Thunder Bay Superior North, Peng Yu is running for the PC party. Lise Bourgeois is the NDP candidate. The Liberals have picked Shelby Chung to run after longtime MPP Michael Gravel was forced to drop out. Tracy McKinnon is representing the Green Party, and Kathy Sutari is running for the New Blues. Peng Yu says he's excited to get the campaign started and talk to potential voters.
But I really enjoy door knocking. Lots of work. That's why I'm determined to win this election. I have knocked more doors. Listen to people, working for people.
Turning to Thunder Bay Atikokan, Kevin Holland is the PC candidate. NDP incumbent Judith Monteith-Farrell is seeking a second term. Rob Barrett is running for the Liberals. Eric Gardner is with the Green Party. And the New Blue candidate is David Tomasini. Barrett says he's confident heading onto the campaign trail.
Our team is out there working already. I'm just so excited. And the reception we've had so far has just been so positive and enthusiastic. We're just pleased as punch.
In Kiiwetinoong, Dwight Monk has his hat in the ring for the Progressive Conservatives, while incumbent Sol Mamakwa is hoping to retain his seat for the NDP. The Liberal candidate has yet to be announced. Suzette Foster is the Green Party representative, and Alex Dorn is running for the New Blue Party. This will be Foster's first political run, and she is thankful for the guidance her party is providing her.
To my wise Green Council of Women who are helping me out with signs and some of my publications. And I'm just honored to be nominated to run for this 2022 election.
The 4th riding in the Northwest is Kenora Rainy River, where incumbent Greg Rickford will again run for the PCs, while Joanne Foreman at Gustafson is the candidate for the NDP. Looking at the Liberals, they do not have a candidate confirmed in this riding either. Catherine Keevening is running for the Greens, and Kelvin Boucher Chicago is representing the New Blue Party. Foreman at Gustafson was officially nominated on Tuesday night.
It's a bit surreal, I guess, only because it happened so quickly. I'm excited, actually, really reflecting to make the decision to take this for a long ride really reminded me of all the things that are important to me.
Vasilios Bellows, TBT News.
The local returning offices for the 2 Thunder Bay area ridings are now open. The offices provide election information, including how to register to vote and how to cast a ballot, in person or by mail. For voters in the Thunder Bay Atikokan riding, the local returning office in Thunder Bay can be found at the former Agnew H. Johnson School on Churchill Drive. As well, a satellite office has been set up for those in the Atikokan area. And for Thunder Bay Superior North, the main returning office is located inside the County Fair Mall, with satellite offices in Nipigon, Marathon, and Geraldton. The returning officer there, Julio Gomes, says there are a few ways voters can make sure they're registered and ready to cast their ballot.
They can go to the Elections Ontario website and key in some of their personal information, and that'll tell them that they're on the list. If they're not on the list, they can register through there. If they are not comfortable doing it that way, they can call a returning officer, come in, and they will be registered. And if they want, they can vote at that time as well. Anytime after Thursday, you can vote.
Gomes is strongly urging voters to try to cast their ballots before June 2nd, as Election Day can be especially busy, with both COVID-19 protocols in place. Police in British Columbia have confirmed that 2 of the people killed in a plane crash near Sioux Lookout last weekend were wanted fugitives. The wreckage of the 4-seater plane was found last Saturday morning, and the OPP released the names of the 4 victims this week. The plane had left Dryden on April 29th and was headed for Marathon when it failed to arrive. A joint search operation led to the discovery of the crash site the next morning near Cuscos Lake, about halfway between Sioux Lookout and Ignace. OPP identified one of the passengers as 36-year-old Gene Larkamp. He was recently cited as the #2 most wanted fugitive in the country in connection for the murder of a man in Thailand in February. Another victim identified by OPP was the 37-year-old Duncan Bailey from Kamloops, who who was facing charges in a different murder. The other victims were the pilot, 26-year-old Abhinav Handa, and 27-year-old Hakun Hong, both from Richmond, BC. The Transportation Safety Board had investigators at the crash site this week, and their probe into the cause continues. OPP and Anishinaabe police are investigating a suspicious death in the Deer Lake First Nation, which is located about 180 kilometers north of Red Lake. Around 11:15 last Sunday night, NAPS officers responded to a call about a woman in distress. 30-year-old Vanessa Kakagemek was transported to the nearest local nursing station where she died. Police have released very few details, but say they don't believe there's an ongoing threat to public safety. Anyone with information is asked to contact the OPP or Crime Stoppers. Efforts to expand and modernize the McCausland Hospital in Terrace Bay have been aided by a $1 million investment from the province. The facility is over 40 years old and is showing its age, with tight spaces and inefficiencies that affect both staff and patients. Corey Nordstrom took a tour of the hospital this week.
A $1 million investment by Ontario's Ministry of Health is going to help bring the McCausland Hospital into the 21st century.
The way we provide care now is radically different than the way we provided care in 1980 when this building opened, and it's really a team environment.
Scriber Mayor Kevin Mullins and Terrace Bay Mayor Jody Davis toured the hospital to get a better understanding of the inefficiencies at hand.
All your x-ray rooms and everything like that, they're really all too small for this day and age, and I think whatever money the hospital gets down here, it'll be put to good use.
The North of Superior Healthcare Group is in the early planning stage of how the hospital will look after work is done, but have their priorities outlined.
Expanding and modernizing our emergency department, first and foremost. We're also looking at expanding our acute care wing to have single occupancy rooms as opposed to double occupancy rooms, so 2 beds in 1 room. That, of course, will provide more privacy, and infection control practices will improve with those rooms.
McCausland serves about 4,000 people from Pays Plat to Jackfish, and with issues attracting staff to the smaller communities, there's hope that an updated facility can aid in both attraction and retention.
An incentive for new doctors, especially new doctors coming into the profession. This would be a great place for them to begin their careers and stay working in a newly renovated facility with having most of the modern amenities.
The North of Superior Healthcare Group still has to raise its own funds for the rest of the improvement costs, so it's too early to give an exact date when physical changes will be seen.
Hopefully within 5 to 7 years, we can expect to see a shiny new McCausland Hospital in Terrace Bay.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
It's nothing but positive reactions to the announcement in Kenora late last month for the former Kenora Forest Products sawmill. The company that purchased the mill, Green First Forest Products, has not only stated its intention to restart the facility, but it will also have it physically move and expand its operations, which will open up a large patch of land within the city of Kenora for development. Ryan Benazzo has the details.
It's something Unifor Representative Stephen Boone, who spent 25 years as a union leader, calls an extremely rare occurrence.
I've been involved, obviously, on a number of restarts in Kenora a few times, Near Falls, and different operations, but I can tell you, yeah, I've never seen where an operation is actually closed or bankrupt, closed, moved, and then restarted.
The province recently announced a loan of just over $17 million for the new owners of one of Kenora's 2 sawmills, Green First Forest Products, to move the decades-old facility to a new site in the city, reconfigure the layout, and expand. Boone says Green First has experience, and he believes this plan sorts out many problems that occur when sawmills typically change hands, setting the facility up for success.
A lot of times you inherit a mill that's got all kinds of bottlenecks and defects that you don't have the resources to fix, or they're too difficult to fix. So the good situation here is you're going to have a new site, and you're going to have a whole ground up where you can develop the mill the most efficient, productive way, so that when lumber prices were to drop, you have a viable operation that will be able to weather that.
The expansion will create 85 new jobs and a further 135 potential indirect jobs. That's good news to Boone and to Kenora Mayor Dan Raynard, who believes Green First wants to move the facility to the Jones Road area.
There's a lot of Crown land out there, and you think about it, You don't have to bring heavy trucks into the community loaded with raw materials and then shipping out again. It's a much, closer to rail yards, closer to the Trans-Canada Highway.
Raynard says the announcement helps secure industry and employment and the possibility to unlock opportunities on land that sits along the lake.
It's a big site. The fact that it's bordered with water on both sides makes it, it could be high end, and then it's on major transportation routes, so the buses go by. I think it'll be mixed use.
The entire process is expected to take about 3.5 years. Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
A piece of mining history is being removed just outside of the town of Geraldton to make way for the future of mining in that area. Work is well underway to demolish the iconic head frame located along Highway 11. It's part of a significant undertaking by Equinox Gold as they look to make way for the Greenstone mine. Included in that work is significant clear cutting and moving of the highway to the north, closer to Geraldton. The head frame was constructed in the 1930s by the McLeod Cockshutt mine, and many locals see it as a symbol of home. Greenstone Mayor Renan Beaulieu understands it's hard for some people to see it be removed, but he understands there's a lot of change that needs to happen in the area, which will bring hundreds of jobs to the municipality and its residents.
We did take into consideration, what we're talking about right now, about that it's going to definitely affect people, whether it's that, the golf course, the homes that people were living here. There were 60 homes here. Some of them had been living here for 50 years. It was their home right by the golf course. Now today they're sold, they moved on.
Beaulieu can't say when the head frame will be completely removed, but he knows crews are taking their time to ensure safety. When we come back, officials with Hydro One form a closer connection with several area First Nations. A consortium of 8 First Nations have signed an agreement with Hydro One, creating the opportunity for them to invest in an equity stake of the Waasigan Transmission Line project. Fort William First Nation is one of the partner First Nation communities, which is where the signing ceremony took place on Wednesday. Lee Noonan was there and files this report.
The First Nations, represented by Kwe-Kuchikewin Limited Partnerships, now have the option to invest in a 50% stake in the Waasigan Transmission Line and to earn a return on that investment. The new power line will run from the Thunder Bay area through Atikokan and up to Dryden. Fort William Chief Peter Collins calls the agreement historic and a milestone for the 8 communities.
When we signed the treaty in 1850, 172 years ago now, I mean, we signed that treaty and sharing in the natural resources of this country. And, you know, it's taken us this long to start seeing those beneficial treaty commitments, and it's an exciting day, and it's a great opportunity for our young people to get educated, to make sure they're part of this project, to make sure they're part of the future, to make sure they're part of the industry.
Collins praises Hydro One for thinking outside the box and says, if Ontario wants to grow, it grows with us. GLP President Tom Johnson spent 4 years working towards this agreement and says it took time to build trust between the communities and the utility company, and that it feels good to see the agreement signed.
It's going to be a good thing for all our communities. It's going to give us some well-needed jobs that we don't have in the north here, and then some of the dividends that are going to come out of the Waasigan project are going to help our community in the long run.
Hydro One representative Jason Fitzsimmons presented the agreement as part of the utility's commitment to reconciliation, saying they would no longer accept the status quo in which Indigenous communities have historically borne the impacts of infrastructure development in their territories without seeing the benefits. He says it's too early to estimate what the cost or the economic impact of the project will be.
We're still in the development phases of this project. I think it's sufficient to say it's a very large project. It's 350 kilometers, stretches from Shunia right through to Dryden. So this is a very, very significant transmission project and very, very necessary for economic development in Northern Ontario.
Fitzsimmons says the first phase of the project, stretching from Shunia to Atikokan, should be in service by 2025, adding that partnerships like this one can help pave the way to a successful outcome. For his part, Collins says he expects the Waasigan transmission line to be similar in scope to the $770 million East-West tie project and to create significant economic and educational opportunities for the GLP communities. Lee Noonan, TBT News.
Meanwhile, Hydro One is continuing to develop its work on the Waasigan line and holding open houses in the communities where the new transmission line will be built. This week, the utility held information sessions in Dryden, Atikokan, and Thunder Bay, each geared towards informing the public on the possible routes for the project could take in connection to connect these 3 communities. According to the timeline set out by Hydro One, the consultation phase is expected to last until next year. In attendance Thursday was Matt Dupuis, a Thunder Bay resident and former chief of the Red Rock Indian Band, which was a partner community for the recently completed East-West tie. He calls the continued expansion of grid capacity an exciting third chapter in transmission development and believes it will set up the region for future success.
This is a very positive, proactive approach to transmission development. I mean, as exploration and mining gets further down the road, it's going to be good to know that there is available power on the grid. So, you know, kudos to the provincial government for really thinking ahead here.
If all goes according to plan, Hydro One expects to be in position to begin construction of the Waasigan line in 2024. After 2 very wild and scary forest fire seasons, the municipality of Red Lake is looking towards this summer with cautious optimism. In 2020, the municipality was shaken when thousands of people were forced to evacuate due to a wildfire which tore into the Madsen area. The region was put under high alert again in 2021, with residents being advised to be ready for an evacuation order, which fortunately didn't come. Mayor Fred Modis says the municipality has invested in a new alert system for residents, which he hopes will help counter any anxieties over area forest fires, adding the past 2 years have both been a learning experience and strengthened bonds, or the working bonds in the community.
It can creep up on you and take days, or it can be instantaneously and overnight from lightning strikes. So we're prepared. We have community groups ready, discussions, evacuation needs, and we work closely with our local MNRF. We're prepared. We just hope no third season.
The 2022 forest fire season kicked off on April 1st, and as of Friday, there's only been 1 forest fire reported in all of the Northwest. With the forest fire season on the horizon, First Nations emergency professionals and organizations have come together for the very first After Action Responders Forum. The gathering in Thunder Bay aims to help emergency teams get ready to protect their communities in the future. After watching as thousands were forced to evacuate their homes due to the record fire season last summer, it became clear to many emergency professionals across the north that they needed to work together in order to be better prepared next time around. One of the main issues they have found is the culture shock some evacuees had when they were relocated to larger metropolitan areas. It's an issue that the group's chair, Darren Spence, believes can be fixed before this summer's evacuations begin.
Developing plans where we can have it First Nations led, have a First Nations joint leadership, where we provide a list of places where you can go and evacuate your community, and where you feel that you can be safest and not be in the metropolitan areas where we have those large issues, especially social issues.
Spence says they plan on holding a similar event every fall to ensure all emergency teams come up with best practices on how to protect their own communities. Coming up after the break, Council in Terrace Bay looks towards the future of 911 service and its own first response infrastructure. The township of Terrace Bay is the latest Ontario community to approve a change to its 911 system. The community is also looking to apply for federal funds for 2 infrastructure projects that have continually fallen down the priority list. Corey Nordstrom has more.
911 is an essential part of any community, and it ensures the safety of the residents in the community. So we want to make sure our 911 is up to date.
Terrace Bay Council voted unanimously in favor of adopting a new 911 system. The move to next generation 911 technology enhances the ability of call centers while also better locating the proper operator. Mayor Jody Davis says it's mandated for all Canadian municipalities to adopt before 2025.
It's just to ensure that the system is reliable, and it's more up to date and to go along with other communities. So every once in a while we have to update these things, and we're only too happy to oblige in updating it.
Also discussed by Terrace Bay Council was a federal funding application that could be applied to new roofs for the fire station and community works building. The Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program's COVID-19 resilience stream would cover 80% of the $200,000 needed. Davis says the two jobs keep getting pushed back, with other priorities needing funded.
And we've had lots of infrastructure projects at Beach and some other major projects, and that hasn't been high on the radar. But it is, every year it gets older to the roof, the closer is it needs to get repaired or replaced. So this is a good opportunity so that we can get it off the books and provide ensure the safety of the buildings.
The funding would be finalized next year and be added to the 2023 budget if successful. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
The Northwest Region OPP have named their next detachment commander in Nipigon. Staff Sergeant Dave Moskal takes over the role after a 25-year-long career in policing. Moskal says he's thrilled with the promotion, saying this is a dream job. He previously served 10 years with the Canadian Pacific Railway Police before joining the OPP. He has specialized in marine operations, casino enforcement, and as a staff sergeant in Thunder Bay. Moskal wants to improve community safety and reduce the number of incidents across his catchment area, which includes many close-knit communities from Red Rock to Terrace Bay.
We lose too many people on our highways, on our trails, and on our waterways. And a lot of those deaths are needless. So continuous education, continuous enforcement, but ideally tackling these problems through a community lens.
Moscow's held the acting position since September and is looking forward to creating change and sustainability across the Nipigon region. Thunder Bay is preparing to host up to 400 flood evacuees from the Kashechewan First Nation. They're expected to begin arriving by Saturday, although Thunder Bay Fire Chief Greg Hankio says that timeline is still fluid. A significant ice jam threatens to flood the community, which is located on the James Bay coast. Flooding evacuations have become a near annual event for the community, and the drastic idea of relocating the community of about 1,900 people has been discussed by First Nation officials and senior levels of government in recent years. It's unclear as to how long the evacuees will be staying in Thunder Bay this time around. The city has an agreement in place with Indigenous and Northern Affairs Canada to recover the cost of hosting the residents from Kashechewan. That wraps it up for this week on Northwest Newsweek. Thank you for joining us. See you next week.